Hey guys, it's Meechie and I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be doing the micro link weft and I'm going to be using 26 inches of the Posh Collection Malaysian mink body wave. For this particular technique, you're going to need your loop hooks, your pliers, and your beads. And I use the beads with the silicone lining. So guys, I'm going to be using the Malaysian mink body wave. So this is what it actually looks like out of the net, but I colored it to match my client's head and she's a jet black. So this is what it looks like after we colored the hair. As you can see, it deposited the color very well and it still has a lot of body to it. So I've already shampooed her hair and blow dried it out. I'm just gonna straighten it just a little bit, not too straight, but I'm gonna straighten it just enough so I can get the micro links on, and then I'm gonna show you guys how I get my micro link wefts on row by row. So of course, guys, all the products that I'll be using in this video are by Posh Collection. I'll be sure to leave details on each individual product in the description section, as well as the direct link if you want to purchase. Okay, so I have her straightened out and I'm just going to begin to part her off and start adding her wefts. So guys, what I want you to understand is like any type of tracking that you do, like any type of wefting that you do, track placement is very important and it's almost the same whether you're doing eye tips, whether you're doing the micro link weft, whether you're doing tape ends. As long as you understand track placement, that will help you put the hair in your client's head properly. And what I like to do is always like a U shape because I love for my hair to fall towards the front. So it can be full in the front, full in the back. So I'm gonna show you guys how I like to lay my tracks. Okay, so I'm doing a middle part and I'm just making sure I leave enough hair out in the back and on the sides, just so if she wants to pull it up, the tracks don't show. In order not to make her beads feel uncomfortable, you want to make sure you put the bead on where there's no like tugging. So I'm going to use my Tease Me spray to just try to tame her flyaways before adding my bead. And when I add my beads, I like to pull the hair straight down, not too tight, and clamp it. And I'm not putting my beads too close together, but close enough to where the weft is not sagging. So guys, you may have seen this method done where stylists are linking the entire row. Now, it's absolutely your discretion how you would like to do it, but I don't think it's necessary to link the entire row, especially if your client has length to their hair. Now, you just want to make sure you are putting the beads in close enough to where the weft is not sagging and it's in securely. Now, if I had a client with shorter hair, I would absolutely link her entire row because I would want their short hair to be in between two wefts. That way I don't have a lot of short pieces of hair interfering with my install. So guys, in order to get the fullness that I want, I'm actually gonna put a weft underneath her bead and on the top of her bead. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that on her entire head, but I wanna make sure I start my first few bundles doubling them just to make sure I get the fullness that I want. So I'm just gonna pin her beads up. And then I'm gonna do my first track underneath her bead. So we just wanna make sure we get this hair out of the way before we start sewing the weft on. Okay, so I'm gonna start my first track. I'm gonna put it through her hair, but not going through the link. You wanna go through the hair and the track. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side of the bead. Remember, don't go through the bead. Then I'm going to go back to the beginning just to secure it. And we're just gonna do the same thing through the entire track. Going on both sides of the bead, not going through the bead. You can go through the track or under the track, whatever works for you. Going under the track is usually quicker. So when I say under the track, this is going under the track, or you can go through the track. And you always want to loop the needle through your thread, and that's what secures the knot. You don't want to put too much tension on the hair, pulling it too much. Just let it naturally lay in place. So this is the last bead. So we're going to go on both sides. And then I'm actually going to go through the track, just to secure it. And then I'm gonna go back on the opposite side. Then we're just letting the clips out. And then we're gonna go on top of the bead with the next track. The great thing about this technique is that you won't be able to see the beads. So some people like to cut their wefts, some people like to fold their wefts. Me personally, I always like to cut my weft. I think it lays so much flatter, so I love to cut the weft because it's not worth trying to save the track and keeping it as a full track if you're gonna have lumps on the side of your sew-in. Also make sure when you thread your needle that you make it long enough so you don't have to rethread it in the middle of a weft. You wanna make sure you have enough to go from beginning to end. So with your top weft, you don't have to go on either side of the bead through the hair. You're just gonna go through your bottom weft to connect the two together. And that'll close the bead in between both wefts so you can't see the bead.
So guys, if you're a stylist and you want to offer this luxury service, I would definitely say mark your books off about 3 to 4 hours. It's a very tedious process and you want to be sure you can focus solely on this client and mark off enough time in the event that you run into issues like maybe needing to remove some beads or adding more tracks.
So here's your first completed row. And again, we did 2 wefts, one underneath the bead and one on top of the bead.
So guys, although this service offers some versatility where you can pull it up in a ponytail, please be mindful that your natural hair is flowing throughout the extensions. So you want to be very careful when you're pulling it into a ponytail or even when you're curling your hair. Be mindful of the temperature that you have your curlers on. The whole goal is to always take care of your natural hair even when you are wearing extensions.
So I'm actually going to double up on my weft under the bead because I want to make sure that I'm getting enough hair in so that it's nice and full. So I'm going to try that on this particular row and see how I like it.
So for a service like this, I always like to tell my clients that it'll last about 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes it'll last longer, but you don't want to tell them it's going to last longer, and then if it doesn't, they're disappointed. I'd rather tell them a shorter time frame, like a 6 to 8 weeks. That way they're not disappointed. So if they do get 10 to 12 weeks out of it, it's more so a bonus that it lasts longer. And as I mentioned, this is a luxury service, which means it's very high maintenance. So you definitely want your client to come in maybe every 2 to 3 weeks to get their shampoo style and maybe tighten up any beads if necessary.
Okay, so I'm getting higher up in her head in the front. So what I'm gonna do is just start with the single, and then once I kind of get right about here, I'm going to double the weft. So what I like about this install is that you can kind of control the density. You don't have to do every single row the same. When I was in the back, I did one weft underneath and one on the top. Then as I gradually got to the middle, I did 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top. Then I did 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. So you don't have to do every row the same. You just want to be mindful that as you get closer to the top, you want to put maybe just 1 weft on top and on bottom, and then even possibly just doing 1 period, just so it doesn't get super bulky and thick at the top, because you want to make sure it still lays flat. So I'm putting the majority of my bulkiness in the middle. Okay, so now since I only had 1 weft at the beginning on the other side, I'm going to cut this weft so both sides can match. So you got single weft towards the front so it won't be bulky in this temple area, and then it's doubled as you get towards the back. Okay guys, so I just combed her hair down just to see if I can get any more tracks in, and I think I'm gonna try to get 1 more. I have some space back here, so I'm gonna do 1 more row back here, and that should be it. Okay guys, so that completes our micro link weft install. Again, I use the Malaysian mink 26-inch bundles, and you can get those from iloveposhcollection.com. I think it turned out great. And again, guys, you have total control over the density that you want to do your install. If you want to do single wefts, double wefts, however you want to do it, you don't have to stay consistent throughout the entire head. Just do what works for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mad About Meechie, as well as follow me on IG at Mad About Meechie. Thank you guys.